Hi, I'm Greta Oliver. Welcome to the EducateU podcast, your roadmap to learning tips, techniques, and strategies to enable your student to successfully navigate the road to and through higher education. Hello, everyone. Welcome to EducateU. Today's broadcast is on finding your advocates, and our guest speaker today is Ashlea Hitchcock Frances. Ashlea was raised in rural Missouri, went to college in Virginia and then in North Carolina, and has been in North Carolina ever since, just with a little break in New York City. She's worn many hats and is experienced in working in nonprofits, for-profit organizations, and private companies. She's a first-generation college graduate, and in 2020 started her own company called The Squeeze. So she's also known as the Juice Lady. The Squeeze is an organization to support others who are the first in their families to graduate from college and or to go on to a professional job. So she has a lot of interest in helping people find jobs and presenting themselves in the best possible light. Because of her passion for what she does, she has a wealth of knowledge about navigating college and career as a first. So she's going to discuss with us today the importance of having advocates and provide us with some best practice tips for students who are navigating their way so that they will have an easier time and an easier experience on the college campus. Please join me in welcoming Ashlea Hitchcock Frances to EducateU.
Thank you. That was quite an introduction. You know, when you're old enough, you have really done some things.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you have done some things, and you should be really proud of them. And so
Thank
we're going to
you.
just kind of jump right in. I'm so glad to have you with us and just get a different perspective maybe from what we are used to hearing. So I just want to start with some questions right now. And the first thing I want to ask you is how important is it for students to find advocates on the campus today?
An easy question, right? No, it is, I think, vitally important for their success. I think there's kind of two main reasons why having advocates are important. One is advocates share all of the secret information that you need to know,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like an advocate might know where all the good internships are posted through a specific email list, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
that there's free X, Y, or Z every Thursday
Mm-hmm.
somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like that shortcut, right, to getting great information. And then the second reason why I think it's important to find advocates is like the actual act of finding and connecting with advocates is a skill that you need for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
So it's a
Yeah,
great
that's a great answer. We are trying to get students, sometimes they're a little shy or, they don't really know how to navigate places and spaces. And so just that actual connection is a good thing. So whether the advocate is helping them to find out about internships or helping to advise them in their coursework, just that human connection is still very important, as you said.
Absolutely.
So, what challenges do you see for students who don't find their advocates? Maybe they just come to college and they're just there and they don't
Yeah.
have any help.
So, you know, in the introduction, you talked about some of the things I'd done. And one of the things I did was college access and success. So that
Mm-hmm.
was supporting students as they transitioned to college and then as they kind of navigated their college journey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so over the years, having a lot of experience with that, you see kind of the difference in students' success. And it looks very different across campuses. But
Mm-hmm.
when they do lean into having and finding advocates, I think one of the differences is if you have an advisor that is a great advocate for you, they might let you in on like what professors you should or shouldn't take,
Mm-hmm.
right? For example, a student that I worked with at a large public university, she was in a very competitive science program that she bombed one of her, first year classes.
Mm-hmm.
But she had a great relationship with her advisor, went back to her advisor. We kind of game planned out what to do. And she said, look, I want to do this major. I'm committed to it, but I need your help finding the professors that are going to set me up for success.
Mm-hmm.
And that advisor, like that kind of act of showing like how much care and like taking the time to do that, then became like a great advocate, helped her navigate that. Like now she is a biomedical engineer,
Mm-hmm.
right? But like
Mm-hmm.
I think that first failure in a class
Mm-hmm.
and not going back to the advisor and saying, how can you help me navigate this, would have been the end of that like
Right.
major for her.
Right, right. That is a really good point. And another thing that you brought up with this relationship building with the professors, that's also very important. And I think students should actually look at their professors as advocates as well, because they can get so much information. Professors have a wealth of knowledge, and they're just really wanting to share that with everybody that they can. Even people who don't really even want to know probably are getting more information from this professor than they even really want. But professors are, I think, when they can get somebody that they can tell that the student is hungry, they can tell that the student is motivated, and also tell that the student is really trying to make this thing work,
Yes.
they kick into another higher gear. And I think their purpose is really like right in front of them of helping one student. And one student leads to two and three and so many more. And so, that's just so important in college life.
I absolutely agree. I think, you can talk about professors' office hours,
Mm-hmm,
like
absolutely.
those office hours, and hopefully they align with a student's schedule so they can go to them. But even if you don't have a specific question, hearing what other students are asking, forming that relationship, showing the professor that you are truly committed, that you
Mm-hmm.
want to be successful and learn the information, that is a different level of energy, right? That you're
Yes.
bringing to it.
Yes.
Um, I used to say when I ran programs that my level of advocacy and support for everyone was
Mm-hmm.
super high, but it was at this level, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody gets this level of support.
Mm-hmm.
But then for those students that go above and beyond, that are like waking up at 4 a.m. to like get everything done, that are staying up late, that are doing just kind of like everything in their power to be
Mm-hmm.
successful, I match that energy, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like that definitely is a two-way like motivator.
Absolutely. I think professors do that too. They can tell when somebody is just like kind of there for no reason or don't want to be there. And they can also tell when students are engaged. And even if they're kind of struggling a little bit, they can tell that they're really trying. And I think they're
Yeah.
no different than any other human beings on the planet. They like to be helpful. They like to see people who are interested in the things that they're teaching and what they know about and their expertise. And so they're going to kick
Yeah.
in too. Just like you kick in that extra level, I think they kick in too. And so that's something that students should just really realize when they're on campus.
Agreed. Absolutely.
So my next question is, um, what are some reasons when or where or why? What are some reasons why students would be hesitant to reach out to others?
Okay. Could we, we're talking about students, sure, but let's not pretend like even as an adult, it's
Mm-hmm.
hard. It is
Mm-hmm.
hard to be
Absolutely.
vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
asking for help is, especially for those of us that like maybe we're first gen, right? And so
Right.
we've done so much on our own that we're just like, oh, I will do this until I'm,
Mm-hmm.
pushed myself instead of just
Mm-hmm.
asking. And
Right.
we struggle a lot more until we understand how to ask for help and
Mm-hmm.
be an advocate.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
in that way, I don't want to make it seem like, oh, just go find advocates, find mentors. It's
Mm-hmm.
very easy because it's
Mm-hmm.
not.
No. Mm-hmm.
And especially when it seems like your peers know what they're doing. And
Right.
it seems like they're just navigating this whole situation super well. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
they're hiding their own insecurities or
Mm-hmm.
fears or academic failures. And so
Mm-hmm.
you just don't have any idea.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, I think to this day,
Mm-hmm.
I have to hype myself up to ask for help,
Mm-hmm.
ask for mentorship, or to
Mm-hmm.
ask for a referral. Like I
Mm-hmm.
have to remind myself that, like, if somebody is my person, right,
Mm-hmm.
they will do it. And if they don't want to
Absolutely.
do it, that's okay. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
lose anything.
Right, absolutely. And that's really good. I'm glad you brought that point up because through my life, and it's been a little bit longer than yours. Thank God, I'm still kicking.
That's right.
But one of the things that I have realized, especially from writing the book and all that I've been through, is that everybody needs help sometimes. There's
Yeah.
nobody that does not need help sometimes. And so, especially as first generation students or even older adults or whatever you need help for, you need to ask for it from
Yeah.
someone who can possibly help you, and if they can't help you, can steer you along to somebody else who can. And so, like you said, you don't lose anything, and you'd also be very surprised how many people really want to help and how many people will come to your defense and how many people will support you, but
Yeah.
they are not able to mind read. That's one
Yeah.
thing I haven't figured out either yet. I don't really know how to mind read yet, but I but if you tell me or you ask me or you put yourself out there, then I'm more apt to come and listen to you and try to assist you. And I think that's
Yeah.
true across the board in life as well as on the university campus.
Yeah.
And so we've been talking about, basically what students should do and why they should take, advantage of advocates on campus and how important it is for students to ask for help or anyone to really ask for help. So we're already into the best practices, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so far we've said, all of that. And then we talked about the office hours for professors and how students really need to make themselves available to that. And as you said before, if you are not able to attend the posted office hours, there's other ways to reach professors. You can
Yeah.
email professors, you can text professors, you can find another time, hang around after class maybe and
Yeah.
kind of, set up a special time or something for
Yep.
professor to help you. So it's just the matter of making that appointment, making that step, making that move to make that connection with a professor, especially if you're in need of help.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
what other kind of best practices can you think of that you want to leave our viewers with today?
Okay, one of the things that I think is kind of an unspoken rule that most students don't know is that if your academic advisor is just not your person, right?
Mm-hmm.
They aren't
Mm-hmm.
advocating for you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't feel like they're really supporting you and making sure that your schedule is right or that you're really having your coursework planned out well.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of them. Get
Mm-hmm.
another one. You can
Mm-hmm.
get and request another academic advisor. That is
Mm-hmm.
absolutely your right to be able to find someone that will work with you, that is
Mm-hmm.
supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that that's like most students will say, "Oh my gosh, like I don't think I
Yeah.
can do that." Like they
Right.
gave me this person to work with,
Mm-hmm.
but no.
Right, right, absolutely, absolutely. That's a really good tip too, because you have to have people that you feel are in your corner. They may be in your corner, but if it doesn't feel like that, what good is it?
Yeah.
You're not getting any benefit from that, and they probably aren't either. So
Yeah.
just to move on, like you said.
Yeah.
So what another thing is, how do you feel that finding advocates can translate to student success? How does that jump happen?
Um, not to take it to the like highest, most dramatic degree, but
Mm-hmm.
I think having advocates can be the difference between a degree or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I, I guess a personal example for me. There was a point in my undergraduate experience where I could not pay my previous semester's bill.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you can't return to campus if you can't
Right,
pay your
right,
bill.
right.
That's
Absolutely.
a
Mm-hmm.
very real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't know what to do. I went to a professor that I was close with, that I trusted, to kind of say, because also that's embarrassing,
It
right?
is.
Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't
Mm-hmm.
want to have to admit, like, yeah, I go to this school, but I can't afford to be here. I don't
Right.
know what to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what I was able to do was kind of like have that conversation with her. She then like went with me to
Mm-hmm.
the financial aid office to see if there was anything that could happen there.
Mm-hmm.
There was not for that
Mm-hmm.
next semester, but
Mm-hmm.
we put a plan together for the following year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to the dean.
Right.
And this was all like, I can't stress enough. She literally walked with me. I would
Mm-hmm.
not have been able to do this on my own,
Right.
right?
Right.
There was embarrassment, there was shame, there was fear. I was scared.
Right.
I
Absolutely.
didn't know how this worked, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there was a program that you could graduate in 3 or 3.5 years that you could apply to. It was called an accelerated degree.
Mm-hmm.
That if you had some kind of health or academic or financial reason, you could apply for it. You had to
Mm-hmm.
maintain a certain GPA and you had to be approved for it, that they thought you could handle, because that meant that you were taking 20 to 24
Right.
hours each
Right.
semester.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She went with the dean and helped me, like, talk with him. I
Mm-hmm.
will never forget Wayne Markert, like,
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
sitting down and kind of going through that. So
Right.
I took a semester off and then I got to go back in the fall. But
Mm-hmm.
I think I think about it all the time, that if that had not been the case,
Mm-hmm.
I might not have an undergraduate degree. I might
Right.
not have a
Right.
master's degree.
Right. Absolutely.
And
Right.
in that, she was teaching me, like, it wasn't just her doing this for
Mm-hmm.
me. She
Mm-hmm.
was teaching me how to advocate for myself as well.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
And that's the thing I think that advocates can also do really well, is like, if you see how they do it for you,
Mm-hmm.
then when they're not there, you've studied, you've taken your notes, you see
Mm-hmm.
how they have these conversations or
Mm-hmm.
how they ask questions to get the information that you need.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're much more prepared to do it when you are by yourself.
Right. And for others, as you have done. I'm sure that
Yeah.
has translated to you helping other students. And I've had, some experience with
Yeah.
a lot of students who have been in
Yeah.
a lot of different predicaments. That
Yeah.
being one of them, we have worked and secured like one-time money from the school itself, the college that they are majoring from, like the broadcast college or arts and sciences. I mean, there are
Yeah.
places that you can go, but if you are kind of standoffish or you're too shy or you're unable to articulate your need, a
Yeah.
lot of times you just kind of fall through the cracks. And so that's an excellent example of how, advocacy works in
Yeah.
a very real situation, because this happens to a lot of college students. And the thing about that is that you also have to realize as a college student that whatever issues you have, they're common. It's not just
Yes.
you
Oh my
going
gosh.
through this.
Yes.
There are other people who have already gone through it. There are other people who don't know how they're going to pay their tuition or what they are going to do to be able to come back to school or be there or maintain their scholarship, or all of that stuff has been done before. And
Right.
so the important thing is to find your person. I think what's coming out of this conversation that we're having as far as advocacy and best practices is that students need advocates, number one.
Yes.
They have to seek them out and be able to communicate whatever the need is to whomever. And then, like you said, if they're not for you, they're not your person, it's not working for you, whatever the situation may be, whether it's advising or just in general,
Yeah.
anything, change, find somebody else, keep working at it until you find someone who works with you, somebody you can feel is really an advocate for you. They support you. They understand what the issue is for you. And so that's another really big thing that's coming out of this conversation, as well as the need for all of us to realize that we all need help at just about every time. I don't even want to say sometime. I want to say all the time. We need help. We need other people. And if you can find somebody who's actually gone through it, like I can't even imagine that you wouldn't be a good advocate for a student who was facing the same kind of difficulty you faced, because you've been through it and you saw what your advocate did and how that positively turned your situation around. And so I can't even fathom that you wouldn't be an excellent, outstanding advocate for someone, especially when you can relate to whatever it is that they've gone through.
Yes, I think that's so important that you have people that have been there, done that before, because they understand. Like, yes, if a student reached out to me and was like, hey, I have this problem, I'd be like, okay, these are some options. Let's look into this.
Right. Absolutely. And, just even reaching back and doing maybe some of the same things, or maybe taking it a bit further, or, if you go to the dean and that doesn't work, go to the provost's office. I mean, keep going and keep trying to help. I think that translates into, a better position for the student, more successful completion of higher education. And, it's just awesome when we can find people to help us when we need help. Yes. And then always remember, pay it forward, do something for someone else, try to help someone else. And so I have just enjoyed every second of this conversation with you.
Me too.
So thankful that you were able to come on and give us some really, really practical and good advice about how to find your advocates on campus, and some best practices for students to engage in so that they can be more successful. Thank you so much. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add before we sign off?
I have one thing that I want to share, because I think that this is so important, whether you're in high school, college, or in your career, because I keep these 5 people. Like, we have talked a lot about the people that we keep around us. So I call it my fave 5, and it's a pusher, somebody to help you move forward when you get stuck or scared.
Yes.
A hugger, someone that will let you know it'll be okay. Right. It might be a group chat. It might be a friend that gives great hugs, like somebody that takes care of your emotional well-being.
Right.
A peer. You need somebody that is going through the same thing at the same time. So you can relate. You need a mentor, somebody that's been there, that they can show you the way. They can show you the shortcuts and the loopholes. And then that 5th person, you're always changing. You're always going to need something different at different points in your life. So that's the swap squad. But those are if you have those 5 people and you can identify them in your life, you have a good support network.
Absolutely. I am so glad you said that. I'm going to have that information displayed on the screen. That is so important. Thank you so much, Ashlea. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited for your podcast.
Yay. I will be giving you all the details.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us today on EducateU. If you wish, you can send me your questions or comments about the college going process or the podcast contents by sending an email to Dr. Greta at gretaoliverconsulting.com. Also, beginning each week after the podcast airs, check for a companion blog on my website's blog page at gretaoliverconsulting.com. My book, College Roadmap, Essential Tips for First-Time College Students and Their Families, is available for sale on Amazon.com. Join us next week for another tip or strategy to make the road to higher education easier for your student.